Assalamu alaikum.
Hello, Allah alaikum salam.
How are you? Sorry.
Good. We're spending all day together.
Yeah, it's been amazing. How have you enjoyed the day so far?
It's almost like a date.
Yeah,
Like, think about it. Yeah, we went to get some boba tea at Woti.
Yeah.
And then we went to get lunch. We did work. I mean, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
We were working the whole time. But like it was a lot of fun.
Just disclaimer,
it felt like
we were working.
Absolutely. And we had a good time.
It has been a fun day of hanging out together. It was not fun when you scared me in the car.
Mm-hmm.
I still feel a little bit fear seeing your face because I feel like you're gonna like turn into a monster and go boo.
Can I just say you were very like angelic and graceful
When I got scared.
Yeah. Like I've never seen someone where I scare them and they get closer to me. You're like, you scared me. Were you crying, by the way? Because I think I saw tears in your eyes.
No, but I did really get scared, and then I kept feeling scared.
Yeah,
I
know that feeling.
Like, I really, really wanted to burn the cup off so badly. Because I'll show you a picture if you've been recording this. How in my eyes it looked.
Okay.
Because I'm telling you, I was imagining it a few seconds before that. Oh, what if like the girl did boo in the story?
I mean, like the horror stories definitely made traffic a lot easier.
It did. Yeah. You know, I actually enjoyed it because I was like, when you reroute it at one of the places and it became 30 minutes from 25, I was like, oh, I'm enjoying the story, so it's fun.
Good.
It's okay. But yeah, okay. So we're here today. It's episode 4. We want to talk about wedding season is here. It's winters. It's November, December, Jan. It's the wedding season. Everyone and their sister are announcing their engagements on Instagram. How are you feeling about it? You're already married. Do you feel like, oh, I'm in the boat, I have left the shore? Or how does it feel?
I'm approaching my anniversary, which is the 31st of December.
Oh.
So that's when I did my nikah.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I feel so relieved because I remember this time last year, I was so stressed out. Like the idea of getting married and like everything that went with that. Yeah. Like approaching a new lifestyle. But yeah, it gets easier for sure. Yeah. As time goes by.
That's nice. And what would be your advice to someone who is not in the boat at the shore, stuck with a lot of other people, confused about when it's gonna happen, and they have confused feelings?
Also, like you, basically.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, take shots at me. So, what would be your advice to like you said, like you have crossed, you're on the other side now, and like with the wedding season and everything happening,
are you saying like someone that's single, like she's not talking to anyone?
Yeah, she's not talking to anyone, but looking to get married, or thought that before 2024 ends, they'll be married. What do you think? Do you think, if you have any advice, what would it be?
I mean, I feel like getting ready for marriage is basically you working on yourself. So just work on yourself, and then, because at least in my case, I was married very traditionally. So I wasn't really like going out there actively seeking. Yeah. Because that's like unheard of in my culture. It's like you just basically wait until your nasib comes along, right? But I remember like when I got to that age where I am ready for marriage, I was like, okay, I need to prepare myself. So I was just working on myself mentally, physically, just like knowing myself better. Yeah. And what are the things I value in life? What can I like, the things I can let pass by, and things that I'm like, no, this is like vital. I cannot, like there's no wiggle room on that thing, So just working on yourself, understanding yourself, self-development. And like we have a saying here in Saudi is that when you redecorate your room, that's when your husband comes along. Okay. So redecorate your room and try that out.
So it literally means like redecorate your room?
Literally.
Okay, that was like a metaphor for something.
So like when you invest in your room and you redecorate it, you buy new furniture, that's when, subhanAllah.
Because I took it like when you kind of start like reinvesting in yourself and becoming the person you are. That's what I took it as. But I don't know.
I mean, it's a part of it for sure. Yeah, just like living that, like not a new lifestyle, but the lifestyle that you imagine you can carry on your like marital.
I think it's part of like, I guess it's loving yourself. Like if you learn to love yourself correctly, then whoever comes along, you would know,
SubhanAllah, and you start to attract the right people. SubhanAllah, I don't know how it happens, but like the person comes to the T, not look wise maybe, but SubhanAllah, like I don't know, like once you start working on yourself, you just attract the right type of people in general,
Yeah.
not just a partner.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. I actually have a question. You mentioned something. You mentioned look wise.
ايوه.
So as someone who's married and as someone who's already in the lake, in the boat, you're like under the waterfall or whatever. How important do you think are looks when choosing the one? And I would say both. This is in a way, I know people say Muzz is like, and people are like, oh, they're just there chatting and stuff. But a lot of people use Muzz in a very traditional sense of way, where they, just get on, they have their wali on there. A lot of people like, despite the, contrary popular, whatever, like the controversies or whatever people say, people are really, they use it to get married. Like it's only for serious marriage, Muslims, right, to get married. So, in a way, even Muzz is like, yeah, you look at a picture and there's only so much a picture can speak, and there's only so much you can talk and exchange information in text. So you might necessarily not be attracted to, looks at the first go. But do you think the first impression or the first whatever you feel is the most important, or like you think a person's personality speaks more than the looks?
Okay. So I feel like the perspective of a girl is different from a guy's. So guys are basically, they get attracted by looks. They're very visual people. For girls, we're not really like that. I think girls give more of a chance like for a guy's personality to come through. At least I'm hoping. Like I do know girls that are super like into looks, and that's like the most important thing. But I think most girls, if I'm like I hope I'm like being correct saying this, but this is what I think. Most girls aren't like, that's not the deal breaker. So there's a hadith where Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he says, تنكح المرأة لثلاث or لخمس or لثلاث. So the woman gets married to, based on I think 3 things or 5, I'm not sure, but it's لدينها, so her religious, so how religious she is, لنسبها, so النسب is like her family background, like her not heritage,
lineage,
but
heritage,
yes, her lineage,
اللي
قلنا دينها نسبها وجمالها, so her beauty, and then لمالها, and then the last thing is for her money. Subhanallah, so these 4 things, at least back in the day of Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, these are why the reasons you would get married to a woman. So one of these 4 reasons. So for a man to look at a woman and be like, oh, I want her for her looks, that is absolutely permissible in Islam, 100%. For a guy, Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, من ترضون خلقه ودينه, so it's his manners and his deen. For the guy.
That speaks volumes. Speaks volumes.
So like, I think Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam knows better than all of us, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has set these standards for us to follow for a reason, because you will be surprised at how attracted you are to your mediocre husband. No disrespect to my husband, but يعني, like to your average looking husband, you'll be surprised to how attractive he is when he treats you well, when he has the good khuluq, his good manners and his good deen. It makes up for all of that. When you see him like raising your children a certain way that you love and respect, that he grows so much in your eyes. Because looks, at least for a woman, I think it's not priority at all. As long as he can provide and he has good khuluq and good deen, I think he should be content with that. For a woman though, like for a guy towards a woman, like I said, he has the full right to be like, oh, I want her for her looks. So, and honestly, I always say this, and I think I told you this, I think a woman should own the looks.
No, beautifully put. Especially, I feel like it's not just the husband. When you say, that the personality or like the way he treats you and raises the kids and provides, makes up for everything else, I feel like it's just general. Like in general, when you meet people in your life, and just because the way you feel about them, it makes them so much more beautiful in your eyes. Like, it's not like you're sitting and think, oh my God, I love that person XYZ because he or she looks like, a model or something. You love them, and like, you I don't know, like they're really, really endearing. And I would imagine it would be the same, with a husband if he's not like, out there. And I think even for the guys, yes, they are attracted more superficially, as you said. But over time, I think personality is so much more important for both the parties to like kind of have a check of that, because looks, no matter what, they fade away. Like, I'm not saying they fade away immediately, but if suppose a person has a crappy personality, then their looks will literally fade away for you in a week, because
you're saying this from a guy's perspective.
yeah, I would say from both. Even if, like, suppose a girl does go ahead and choose someone purely, and I think rarely girls do that if they choose it on purely on the basis of looks, but especially for the guys, I would think that anyone for that matter, like if your wife, or I don't know, she has a really really unkind personality or spirit, like imagine like in a week. Why are you laughing?
Because I was just listening to the stand-up comedian. He was saying like, I was with this girl for like 2 years and I hated her guts, but she was so pretty. I let it slide. Of course he was joking.
Yeah.
But I feel like that's the case. I'm not gonna lie. Like, men would put up with an ugly personality, depending on the guy. Okay, so I was listening to the psychiatrist. I feel like I'm speaking so much, but I was listening to a psychiatrist, and he was saying that people marry for different reasons.
Yeah.
Some men marry for like the social aspect of it. Like,
Yeah.
okay, this is the second period of my life. Some men marry for a companionship. Like you said, like I cannot stand her personality, like for example. And then I think there's a third one, but these are the two that really stick out to me, because you really do see those couples that are disconnected.
Yeah.
But they're just raising children. They have a house.
Yeah.
You know, they're just living life. Like it's just like a next chapter of their life.
like a schedule, whatever.
Exactly.
It's part of life. Yeah.
So when Rasulullah he said like for her like beauty, I think that's where it stands, right?
Yeah.
So like, okay, I don't want to say he's tolerating it, but he's able to live with a woman with that trait.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, it's a topic I feel. So yeah, I wish we could get like 50 people in a room and get everyone's insight on like personality versus looks. And I mean, we can't do that right now, but like feel free to comment down below and tell us, because I feel it's really deep. And I feel like even at times I would say, like, maybe if I'm sitting with a certain group of people, I might get influenced into thinking that looks are super important. Like the person has to look like, 6 feet, beard, blah blah, all of that, I don't know. But at the same time, a lot of those guys, they're really self-obsessed, especially with the world of social media we live in. It's really, I mean, the ideal, I mean, even for me myself, the ideal girl is someone who's not like posting each and every aspect of her life on social media. So if I don't prefer that for myself, like why would I prefer it for the husband or whatever? So those people who are like 6 feet tall, have a beard or whatever, they are very self-obsessed mostly, especially because social media has ruined a lot of us. And
oh, but are you saying that every attractive guy is posting on social media?
No, because I wouldn't say, like, I mean, obviously, like, these are people who I just know from far or something, but I know people, suppose some of my friends back in different countries or whatever, they have had really, you can say, attractive siblings, but and it was really interesting because she and me would talk about how she was aware that her brother is really handsome and, like, he is really well mannered, and he actually at some point had like a social media and stuff, like he had a good presence on there, but he struggled to get married because it's so cliche, but people only took him for his face value. So even suppose girls who had maybe messaged him a couple of years back that, oh, we have a crush on you and stuff, and when he was looking to get married, they were just in it because, oh yeah, he's cute, but they wouldn't like treat him as and this sounds so cliche, but it was a whole thing, and we were really surprised that, okay, why would he struggle to land a girl? Because and the thing is, again, with him, he had a beautiful personality. I had minimal interaction with him, but my minimal interaction with him was amazing, with, like, someone who's very kind, helping, a very older brother outlook. But and then obviously my friend used to tell me stories, and I knew, and because also my friend, like the one who I was friends with, she was amazing and kind, and so I knew, like, I'm definitely sure whatever she's telling about her brother is true. But yeah, he really really struggled to get married. And at one point he did tell his sister that, I have even reached out to people who used to be like, oh, we're your fans or whatever, but they're very superficial. They only take him at face value, and he had so much more to offer. But good news, alhamdulillah, he did end up getting married last year, and now he says it was all worth it, like the 2 years of struggle, and I haven't met the wife, but I always hear again stories from my friend, and it's just so sweet, and it's like it's like they're made for each other. She takes him for more than the superficial, like, oh yeah, he's tall, he's handsome, or whatever. So that is also very funny to me that, oh, he was struggling to get married because he's maybe too handsome, so people, because of the social media, they just take him at face value, and not true. Like what he is.
I mean, a lot of girls face that as well, like, I can't lie. I know a lot of women that have gone through that, but I think this brings back like the topic of how most Muslim marriage apps that I know of, they really make the users as products.
Yeah.
So they would ask about their weight, their skin color. I'm like, to what extent are we going here? Because
we're
really
humans.
Exactly. It
We're
really
humans,
does makes it shallow and
very shallow,
very surface level.
Yeah.
When we see Muzz though, the feature of filtering, it doesn't really height is a thing. We do have a filter for height, but it goes beyond that. So we have education, we have the
preferences,
practicing,
stuff like that.
The filters on Muzz I really do appreciate, because there's this word of like tasli', which makes a person look like a product.
Yeah.
So like adding those
in
the weights, it's too much.
No, I feel like, as you said, some other apps, when I've looked at them for like the competition or whatever to see what they're putting out there, they just have too many things which are really weird. I'm like, everyone has like, none of us are robots. Like, we didn't come out of a factory like, oh, you're like 5'5" or 6'1" or whatever. But yeah, Muzz does a really good job, I feel, of having the perfect balance of what people are looking for, what they ask for, because girls do ask for height. Girls do ask for, a lot of people have that, and then I feel like it's a good balance between all the icebreakers, the bio, the marriage intention. I feel like one of the best things we have out there is the marriage intention. It really, really helps figuring out what people want, what how much time, everyone has different timelines and stuff. And then so I really, really appreciate that. Definitely,
it's definitely it doesn't make you feel like a product. It's more of
it doesn't give you like icky feeling, or like, oh, you're so desperate, so you're like here you're trying to sell yourself or something.
Exactly.
It's really like it does make you feel like human, obviously.
Of course, like your photo you can blur and so on. There is that privacy element, but it also makes you feel like you're meeting actual humans and not like products, basically. So that's amazing about Muzz.
Love that about Muzz. Okay, so I mean, personality and look, I feel like looks is never ending. It's a topic that we can go on and on and on about.
I just, to clarify, women are not blind, by the way. So we do care of like how you look. At least you look clean and presentable. You take care of yourself.
You take a shower every day.
One of the things that really drew me to my now husband before doing nikah was I was checking his nails, because that's just something I do. And they were really like well maintained, and that really attracted me to him. I'm like, yes, this is what I'm looking for. So definitely just taking care of the little things make a huge difference. So it doesn't really matter how you look, at least for like,
I mean, not all of us are like models, like none of us are like Gigi Hadid, Kendall, whatever. We're not like walking models ourselves, but it's, I think, the way you take care of yourself, like you take a shower every day, you
even
maintain
for
your
girls,
nails.
man. Like I know like average looking girls that are stunning, because they know how to do their makeup, they know what works for them, and that's just admirable. Like you just want to stare at them.
And at the end of the day, I think it's more, at least for me, and I think it's for you also, like both the genders, it's about the confidence, the way you speak to people, the the personality, and then I think that all adds up, and then like you're like, oh, this person is so beautiful and loving and blah blah blah. But if like the person is like the most beautiful person out there, but their personality is super annoying, and it seems like they don't shower every day, and maybe they sit with their outside clothes on the bed or something. I know I've said this before, and I'm like, oh, okay, like I don't know. So but still, I feel like that topic is never ending, and I would love to one day get like 50 people in a room. Maybe in our next event, it should be one of the questions.
Absolutely.
We should get people to raise their hands, like what matters most, and then people can even match accordingly. What matters to them. But yeah, I mean, it is part and parcel of life.
Absolutely.
Anyways, I wanted to talk a little bit, because it is the wedding season, and we both come, even though we both were raised in Saudi, we both come from different backgrounds. I mean, you're Saudi, I'm Indian, raised here. I want to talk about something interesting you mentioned earlier today, and you were like, oh, and even you mentioned right now that your anniversary is coming up. And from what we all know is that, oh, you started working for Muzz like in the summer, because that's when you got married. So this was pretty interesting to me, because that means you guys get done your nikah, which is the Islamic marriage. So what do you think about it? Like, how does it really work out? Like, I just want to know a bit more about that.
Okay, so the process of, I'm just going to speak about my experience, and maybe I'll like sprinkle in what I've heard from my friends and my relatives. So usually how it goes is when you first meet your husband here, you get to meet them in the Sharia look.
Okay.
النظرة الشرعية, which basically means that in a presence of your wali,
Mahram.
Mahram.
Okay.
The also potential husband is there in the room.
Mm-hmm.
So what we did was a bit different. My dad would step outside, we'd have the door open, and my mom would be in the other room just for us to have like that comfortable
a little
conversation.
bit ice breaking.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because I know like my dad is gonna like eye him out the whole time. So I politely asked him if you can just sit together, me and him, and then he can intervene later.
Yeah.
So that's basically what we did. We sat. First of all, it felt really weird for me because it was my first time like walking. So the Sharia look is basically a woman walking into the potential husband without wearing abaya. So she shows her hair, she shows her face.
Yeah.
I was dressed in a modest dress, like long sleeves and a long dress. But other than that, he can see everything else.
Yeah.
So we sat together, and I basically had my question list already ready.
Yeah.
I hadn't seen him before, so this was my first time seeing him.
It's like Love is Blind.
Literally.
Love is Blind.
I hadn't spoke before, so it's not really Love is Blind, but it's just like seeing him for the first time.
It's the ultimate Love is Blind.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
There's actually another show. It's called Married at First Sight.
Oh.
Yeah, that one's interesting. Maybe you can take a look at it.
Okay.
But so we sat down. I gave him all my questions, and he answered perfectly. Literally, the whole time I'm like, check, 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 check. He was doing really well.
Aww.
So I went out of that meeting feeling really, really at peace. But I still did want to speak to him even more.
Mm-hmm.
So we arranged a phone call, and that phone call was in my mom's phone. So I hadn't saved his number in my phone or anything. He spoke to me from his mom's phone, and same with me. So we spoke for another hour, and I felt super comfortable afterwards. So I was like, "Khalas, I think he's the one."
This is so sweet, by the way. Allah Mubarak, mashallah. It's really, really sweet. Especially it's sweet because we know like you're married now to that person.
Thanks.
And imagine like when you were going through it, like subhanAllah, like I mean everything is qadr and decreed.
Yeah.
But at that time you didn't know that you'll be married, and it's just so beautiful to kind of like, reflect back of how it happened.
Yeah,
so
alhamdulillah.
beautiful, yeah.
I feel like I had a lot of friends, like even that were Saudi, that were like, you didn't even like meet him before or anything, you didn't see a picture.
Yeah.
They were even like a bit shocked. Like, so I can't imagine what white people are saying when they see this. But I totally understand. I think it's just different cultures, and this is how we do it. But I do have friends that would either meet the guy at a cafe and their father would be there like in the cafe but in a different table, for example, which I think is ideal. Like that's definitely something I'll do with my kids. Before they do the Sharia look, I think they should,
I mean, all of this is permissible in Islam. Like
Absolutely.
it is, because I remember the story where, and I know we're going again off topic, we have to come back to like nikah and katb kitab, but I know the story where someone came to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and said, "I'm getting married," and then obviously Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they he congratulated, and then the question was asked, "Have you met her or have you spoken with her?" Because she lived in another city or like far away, and then like the person said no, and also because some people think, oh, we're being too perfect, or we're too on the deen if you're like when the people go on the extremes, like sometimes people don't even get married, they don't get a chance to say hi, hello, right? Which is wrong. So even this person was kind of coming off from that, like I'm so, and like my haya is so extreme that I'll only meet the person the first night. And then obviously everything Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam did was to also teach us like how to live life. So he was instructed that if you can, please make the trip, go and meet your potential wife. Because again, marriage is a contract, it's a decision, it's something you want to try and inshallah go lifelong. So
Absolutely.
it is, all of this is permissible in Islam. And then what happened, sorry, like before we go off track, what happened then? Like you guys, how long did it take for you guys to read the katb kitab, and then why is the wedding different?
Okay, so from that we waited for a few months, I'd say around 6 months to do katb kitab. So I responded a week after. So usually women don't respond right away just because I'm thinking, I'm playing a
So what's the ideal time women wait in the Saudi culture?
Usually like from a week to 2 weeks. Like passing the 2 weeks is a bit rude. Let's like
like then you say like if you don't want to do it, then you just gotta be
like usually by then like the parents are speaking to each other. So my mom was speaking to his mother and just saying like give her some time, let her think about it. And also they gift you something. So after the Sharia look, if the guy agrees, like he has to make a decision right then and there. So he gifted a gold bracelet.
Okay, that's pressure.
I know, that's a lot of pressure. I remember I was praying istikhara and I was looking at my wrist with the bracelet and I saw a bit of stones fell out. So when they fell out, I was like, okay, now I can't return it. Now I have to say yes.
No.
So I was like, one of the reasons I said yes was literally
because of
me
the gold
sighing.
bracelet. Okay,
Yeah.
that's a hack, guys. Just give out something
Yeah.
and like loosen some of the stones, so the girl feels peer pressure
Exactly.
to say yes.
Yeah, like have the stones a little bit loose when you
Loosened.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, like of course I'm saying that jokingly, but I
Yeah.
remember like that thought passed my mind. But yeah, so I responded a week later, and alhamdulillah, it went well. After that came Ramadan, so we
Yeah.
waited for like around 6 months, just for him to prepare the house he was building, and for me to like finish up with my work. So I finished that, and then we did our nikah. So the nikah was very simple, or we say katb kitab or nikah.
Yeah.
We had it at our house. I was wearing a very simple dress. We didn't go like overboard, but I know
Yeah.
people like would take it like a bit more
really?
overboard.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, that's when we met for the first time in a halal way.
Oh.
So that was nice. They also gave me my mahr that night.
Oh, okay.
It's
so
actually on that. You see the cup, the glass cup?
Yeah.
That's where they had the cash, like the money inside.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I like how they. You say
I know.
That. It's like,
That's
is
literally
it like
it.
hidden in the flower because it's like it's a flower vase. So it's like okay,
I
let's hide
know.
it. Okay.
No, basically, yeah, it's like they present it like this.
Ah.
And then the one below had like chocolates.
Oh,
on
okay. So
it.
this is like from your
Yes.
the day or the night of
Yeah.
your katb kitab. That's
Exactly.
so sweet. That's
Yeah.
really cute.
So yeah, that was nice. I remember like seeing him for the first time. It was very late at night, and I didn't have enough sleep.
Yeah.
So I have really awkward photos of me, my eyes like fully red
Aw.
in the photos, but they were cute. Like it's a good memory.
Sweet, very sweet. Thank you for sharing because so I was aware that a lot of Arab culture is like they do the nikah or the katb kitab and then like
Yeah.
the guy and the girl they become obviously you're halal because you're husband and wife and they go around kind of going on halal dates.
Yes,
The only way
yes.
Muslims date is
Yeah.
after marriage.
Sah.
Just to be clear, guys. And then but because in our culture, like I would say most of the Desi culture, it is even if they do the nikah before. It's not common. I mean, I know it's changing nowadays, but it's not common for the guy and the girl to roam about together.
Well, after nikah.
Yeah, after nikah. But I mean, mostly they don't. Like, I don't think so anymore. They do the nikah and then they wait and stuff. I feel like it was more common before. But I do like the idea. I think it's really, and also I think it would give you time to enjoy your wedding more because then if you've done your nikah, you became halal, you've spent some time
Yeah.
or just like chat it in halal, obviously everything's halal. So then like by the time it's your wedding, you're going to be excited to be getting married instead of like, oh my God, what's going to happen?
Not to mention like even the wedding photos, we're not like awkwardly standing
Oh
beside
yeah,
each other.
yeah, that also.
So we're more
yeah.
comfortable like,
That
in our
helps.
presence. That
Yeah.
helps a lot.
And like this is very common, I believe, in then the Saudi culture as well, right? That you guys get the katb kitab or the nikah done, and then there's the wedding is in a few months later, right?
So we didn't have the wedding right away. We had a ceremony. It's called milka, which is usually katb kitab would usually happen in the night of the milka, which is like a mini wedding.
Oh, okay.
I would wear like usually they would not wear a white dress, but it's a colored dress. I don't know if
Okay.
I showed you my photos, but I'll
No.
show you.
Okay, after.
So I wore a gray dress that night, and then the wedding night was a different
Yeah.
night. It was a
Okay.
lot bigger. Like people were like a lot
like
more
the proper
people were-
wedding, right? Then,
that one was
after a
the
few
proper
months.
wedding.
Yeah. Okay.
But like we
No.
had a milka before, and then
Okay. It's so cute. The milka. It reminds me of the chocolate for some reason. I don't
like
even know the.
or like mocha.
Yeah,
also.
something like that. Okay. No, it's really nice. It's really nice for me, first of all, to learn about different cultures, So I was really fat. Like when you mentioned like, oh, my anniversary is coming, and I was like, what is she talking about? Like her wedding was in summer, so I'm like,
Yeah.
what anniversary? Because it's the same thing with my parents. Like they have 2 anniversaries, but theirs are coincidentally like I think they got married in Feb, like the wedding, and then the nikah was the year before in March, if I'm not wrong. So they have also 2 dates to celebrate, I guess. But yeah, okay. Yeah. I have a question for you, because I feel like this episode's been more about learning about, your culture, and like, how.
I actually wanted to ask you, do you guys do like a Sharia look or anything of that sort?
So, okay. I don't think so. Like for me, for example, I was not even aware that, I can show like my hair to the like a not mahram before the wedding. I have heard about it though before, because I I don't know where, either it was like when we were shooting for something else and there was someone else who mentioned it, or like a friend of mine long back or something, because I do have friends like from Palestine and stuff. So I think they mentioned it, like the girl gets ready and stuff, and I was like, oh, like, you know, the guy can see the hair or whatever. So I was really shocked. But I know I think like, okay, so for example for me, because I'm not aware about it, and if I were to get married to someone, I don't think so, like I would show the hair, just because I'm not aware about it, unless like maybe I learn about it. But from what I mean, you know, the Desi culture, it's not like they're wearing niqabs and stuff. Niqab is more Saudi.
Yeah.
And people who wear the hijab, I don't think so. They're aware about that there is something which is a Sharia look. So I don't think so they show their hair. Obviously, they have a meeting and stuff. And now about how much they do, like as you said, like some of your friends do the cafe thing. Some of them just go. So I think that depends family to family. Because again, like if you remember, like Indians are everywhere, or like the Desi Pakistani Indians were like a lot of us. So, and then it's so big and so diverse, everyone has their own cultures. So I think it's completely up to like what the families are practicing. Not necessarily that they're practicing what Islam says. There might be, you know, like some faults there. Yeah, it's a more cultural, because so for example, I know a friend of mine whose mom does, like, there's a potential, like, you know, she's shown without the hijab, which, because I'm not aware about it or whatever, I find it a bit, like, you know, alarming or odd or whatever, especially if it's like multiple guys or something, right? Like, oh, you know, it's not the one. I mean,
you don't like show yourself to every guy though, like they have to,
someone should have potential, right? I mean,
serious potential.
Serious potential. So we don't, as such, I don't think so the Desi community is even aware about the Sharia look. And then a lot of them, like a lot of the Desis, I hope I'm not like but like a lot of them are not wearing hijab, right? I feel like we have, again, a lot of the cultural influence has really overtaken the Islamic precedents. But then alhamdulillah, I feel like a lot of the younger generation who have become more consciously practicing Muslims, and they've gone back and like studied it, instead of, because as Muslims, you know, we take it for granted. You grow up praying, reading Quran, but you're not like thinking about what you're doing. A lot of them, you know, I know like they don't take off their hijabs. Some of them even take niqabs. And, you know, because another thing which is really, really off-putting in the Desi culture, you'll find that even if you're practicing hijabi, but if it's an event or like your own wedding, you will have a lot of pressure from a lot of the elders, or like, you know, random people. Even they might be really, really practicing that, oh, you can take off your hijab. And and it's crazy. Like, it's, I mean, and the funny thing is, you know, like when a few years back I didn't take the hijab, I never thought about all of this, right? But then now if I ever imagine anyone saying to me like, take off your hijab and there's like a not mahram there, it's just like, there's no way you can bend that rule, right? Like, no, I won't take off the hijab.
So interesting.
But it's
like it wouldn't occur to my mind, like, khas, your hijab,
hijabi, right? And also, like, imagine like saying that, like, that also is like, imagine me saying to you, like, Fatima, take off your niqab. Like, it's not something you can say to someone. It's just so common. That is so common. You get so peer pressured, because again, I feel like a lot of the older generation, or like a lot of, I don't know, the middle generation, they've taken hijab more of a cultural thingy than like, oh, you know, it's a religious thing you've put on, and you can't just take it off and on, and especially when they're not mahrams, and you can't pick and choose. So it's I mean, I don't know.
Like, this is not bashing the non-hijabis for sure.
No, that's a whole
I have
different
a lot
thing.
of friends. I have a lot of friends that don't wear hijab, but I still, like, even the ones that wear it for a cultural reason, I still have so much respect for them, especially if they're foreigners, non-Muslims, that come here and embrace the hijab.
That's a completely agree with. Again, I was going to say, there are also people who are trying. It's a complete different thing.
Absolutely.
I was not a hijabi, like a full-time, like whatever, full-time. It sounds like a job.
I can't imagine you, by the way, without the hijab. Wallah.
I can't. That is something I always, like, I remember, like, when a best friend or something, like, recently, one of my best friends, she was asking me, you know, like, how do you feel? Like, you just put it, because I literally just put it on one day. I was just like, oh, khalas, like, I texted my mom. I was in Dubai. I was like, oh, I'm going to wear the hijab when I come back. And then it was just that, like, you know, I just wore the hijab. How
old were you?
I was old. I was 21 and I turned 22, because I put it on 2 days before my birthday.
And there wasn't any pressure from your parents? Like,
no. So obviously, and this is not again coming. So I do come from a practicing family, but it's so messed up. It does make me feel sad. No, I mean,
Yeah,
It's
no
so-
disrespect to your family.
No. So it's
Haram.
not. But I meant when I say messed up, it's the whole Desi culture, like, and a lot of cultures. I bet you know, like around the world, Muslims have really distorted Islam, right? So
Yeah.
a lot of them don't even know that hijab is mandatory on you, or like, you know, what are the hadiths about it and
Yeah.
stuff like that,
Yeah.
right? Like people are like looking for loopholes, twisting and turning and stuff like that. So it's not like, oh, growing up I was like wearing like, I don't know, mini skirts or something. Like, you know, once you hit puberty and stuff, like there was like, I knew the concept of haya. I never really spoken to the opposite gender unless I went to college, and then I used to be shaking with the opposite. It was a whole thing, right? But there was never like, oh, you have to cover your head. It was because it's just like, it's the entire community which is just walking like, it's like sheep.
I was kind of the extreme opposite, you know that?
Yeah.
I was like, you have to cover. I was in second grade and I had to cover everything. I remember even
Like
my
you were
hands.
told to.
Yeah, like I forced actually by school, not necessarily my parents, but my parents would have like that pressure on me too,
Yeah.
just because of the environment.
Yeah.
Riyadh is not how it used to be, like at all.
I remember that.
So I used to wear those abayas like over the
I know
head.
the ones. Yeah.
Bro, it was
This is the story, right? I feel like it's either, I mean, there are a couple of, but there's like this part where Islam is completely distorted in some communities.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of that I would say in India, I would say the Desi community itself, which I know maybe it's Bangladesh, Pakistan, India, all of it. There's so much like cultural influences come here and there. The people are not aware because, for example, everything my parents or like my mother was aware about, she instilled in us. Like we were praying as soon as we were like 7, 6.
Mashallah, yeah.
I told you, we started reading Quran when we were
Mashallah,
3. So it's not like, you know, we were wild people or anything. But okay, this is, and I'll like, and I think I can say this. My mom took on the hijab after me, so like when she learned about it, when she, you know, recognized the importance of it and what it is and stuff, she immediately took it, you know. So
so you were the influence to your mom,
kind of, you can say alhamdulillah, you can say if it was a way, because it also becomes, I remember one of the lectures Mufti Meng says that, you know, he will mashallah see families walking where the daughters are covered, but you know, maybe the mothers or stuff. I mean, obviously in my house it wasn't the case, but it was just that my mom wasn't taking the hijab. Like when there was like a non-haram or something, like she would take the hijab, like culturally again, when you go out you wear a bag, you live in Saudi, stuff like that. It wasn't like, oh, and again, it's everything else is completely modest, and I feel like I cannot ever explain to you because, you know, for you guys it's like a wild, it's wild,
like, it's like the basics is hijab, like it's
for
a wajib.
me that is now, like it's for me now,
yeah,
like, inshallah, like when I have a family or something, and for my mother also now, obviously, like, you know, like it's like hijab is hijab, like you're covered, and you know, like, you know, it becomes even uncomfortable to even like show a little bit of your hands, right, because you're like covered, stuff like that. But yeah, like I don't know, like as you said, like I cannot imagine even myself without a hijab. Or like when my best friend asked me, like, Yusra, how do you feel? You know, you just took it on. Do you feel like taking it off? I'm like, I just cannot. Like it's something so sacred between me and like my religion and like, you know, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, like I cannot take it off no matter what.
Mashallah, you're wearing it for all the right reasons. Mashallah.
Yeah. But that's the thing, you know, when you mentioned, so yeah, we got completely sidetracked, but it's different, like, you know, even pressuring, like suppose pressuring you, again, you're born Muslim, so you know they're just telling you have to wear the hijab, but no one sits and I feel like tells either my kind of backstory or your backstory, that what is it about, like, you know, what's the hijab about.
My God, yeah.
And as simple as this, like, you know, once I put on the hijab, I also noticed, I'm not saying again because I'm no Kendall Jenner, so it's not like people were like saying hi to me left and right, but definitely instills in the opposite gender, like in, like, I don't know if you know the word adab, or like, you know, this step,
like this boundary,
this boundary automatically, because no one's gonna like dare to come and be like, yo, what's up or something, you know, they're not gonna come and comment. There's like
whatever. That level of respect for the hijab,
and it's such a visible, like, you put on this, especially
symbol,
you know, when I was like away, like in Canada or something, it's a mark, right? Like, oh yeah, she's a Muslim. I mean, it can be the mark for the wrong reasons as well, for people to try and get you. But yeah, like I think it's hijab it's beautiful. I feel like modesty should not be forced. That's why everyone's on their own journey for sure. But I feel like culturally, and I think our younger generation, as I said, I feel like it's becoming more conscious about learning why we are Muslims or why it's such a blessed thing. Yeah. And I think in the coming generations, everything hopefully inshallah will be done for the right reason. I feel like about hijab journey, and we should you know, save some for our next episode. So I'll meet you here again tomorrow, hopefully.
Yes,
okay,
let's do that.
Inshallah. Okay, bye bye.